If you spend any time on NBA Twitter, you've seen this take 1,000 times. Players from the 80s and 90s had no handles, couldn't dribble, looked stiff and unattractive. But recently, some compilations started going viral that tell a very different story. What if I told you that the players we call unskilled weren't incapable of modern moves? They were just playing under completely different rules. This compilation is making the rounds and it is eye-opening. Look at what is happening here. Jerry West, one of the greatest guards ever, gets called for palming the ball. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar leans into a defender going up for a shot, offensive foul. Charles Barkley does a turnaround move that would be totally illegal today. And here's my favorite. A player in the 70s gets whistled for carrying on what looks like a completely normal dribble in slow motion. Credit to Kate Black on X for compiling this, because what this shows us is that the rules weren't just different, they were strictly, almost obsessively enforced. In the 1980-81 NBA rulebook, the definition was clear. Your hand had to stay on top of the ball, not the side, not underneath, the top. If you palm moved under the ball's center of gravity, or if there was any perceptible rest in the ball's motion, violation, turnover, your team loses the possession. Here's Isaiah Thomas, one of the best ball handlers of his generation, getting called for switching hands at full speed. And this is where it gets interesting. When people say Magic Johnson had no left hand, they're missing the point entirely. Look at this. Even Isaiah Thomas, listed at 6'1", one of the best handlers ever, couldn't do modern crossovers because they were illegal. Magic at 6'9" didn't need to. He could just back defenders down. But then something changed. 1996, Allen Iverson enters the league with a crossover that was, by the letter of the 1980s rules, blatantly illegal. And the league had a decision to make. Bob Ryan wrote in the Boston Globe in November 1996, the NBA has actually instructed referees to monitor Allen Iverson's natural dribble, which is a palming violation. The LA Times reported every week, it seems, the league sends out another memo about his palming. Rod Thorne, the NBA's VP of Operations, officially denied there was a specific memo about Iverson, but he did admit there was talk during training camp about tightening up against rampant palming. But here's the smoking gun. Steve Kerr, years later, explained what really happened. What Iverson did, nobody had ever seen before, and it was a borderline carry. He was popular and exciting to watch. I think the league sort of realized we don't want to call a carry. The league literally looked at it and said, what do we do with this? They choose entertainment over enforcement. And we know these violations still happen because in November 2022, the NBA sent out a memo cracking down on carries. In that month alone, there were 44 carrying violations called. For context, the entire 2021-22 season had 43 total. But carrying was just the beginning. This clip went viral recently and for good reason. Magic Johnson grabs a rebound, goes coast to coast, throws down a monster dunk, offensive foul. Now people in the replies said that was just one bad call. So here's another one. Magic goes behind the back, finger roll, travel. What these clips reveal is a fundamental truth. In the early 1980s, you could not initiate contact going to the rim, period. The rule was simple. If you dislodged the defender, whether they were set or not, 90% of the time it was called an offensive foul. The league wanted you to go around defenders or shoot over them, not through them. This is every Giannis drive you've seen for the last 10 years, but 40 years ago, offensive foul. But the bigger change came with defense. In the 1980s and 90s, hand checking was legal. Defenders could put their hands on you, on your hip, on your chest, and physically guide you away from where you wanted to go. Gary Payton, the 1996 Defensive Player of the Year, explained it perfectly. In my era, all we do is rush up on them, hand check them, knock them off to the side and take the ball away from them. Then in 2004, everything changed. The Detroit Pistons upset heavily favored Lakers by playing suffocating defense, and David Stern apparently wasn't happy about it. The very next season, the NBA instituted a comprehensive ban on hand-checking. Any contact on the perimeter that impeded an offensive player's progress was now illegal. The impact was immediate. 2003-2004 season, 93.4 points per game. Next season, 97.2 points per game. Personal fouls per game dropped from over 25 in the 1980s to the under 19 in the modern era. Isaiah Thomas, who played in the physical era, admits this freely. If I dominated then, I would dominate now, because rules now favor me. They favor the small guy. Ain't nobody in the lane. He went on to explain, they look faster today because of the rule change, which prohibits holding and hand checking to impede progress. The players didn't suddenly become more skilled. The rules changed what was possible. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Isaiah Thomas has been saying something for years that people don't want to hear. You all want him to win. You all changed all the rules so he can win. I go down the lane, I get my ass beat. Kevin McHale slamming Kurt Rambis to the floor. Everybody's getting hit, but he can't get hit. So we're gonna change all the rules so he can dunk because they're marketing the dunk. Now, what do you think that is? Sour grapes or not? Thomas was the president of the Players Association during these changes. He saw the business side. Michael Jordan was good for business. He was great for business. And the pattern continued. 2001, zone defense legalized, but defensive 3 seconds added to prevent paint camping. 2004, hand checking banned after defensive finals. 2009, gather step formally defined after LeBron's crab dribble controversy. The numbers tell the story. Offensive rating points per 100 possessions, 1981, 105.5, 2024, 115.3. Turnover percentage, 1981, 15%, 2024, 12.1%. The game didn't just evolve, it was engineered to favor offense. And now it is trickling down. Watch any middle school or high school game and you'll see kids palming the ball, taking 4 or 5 steps, and never getting called for it. As one reply to these viral videos said, your favorite player would look just as goofy if they had to play under those strict rules. So what is the point of all this? It is not to tear down modern players. Guys like Luka, Giannis, Jokic, they're incredible, but when someone tells you that Magic Johnson or Larry Bird or Michael Jordan couldn't play today because they didn't have handles or they were too slow, they are ignoring the fact that these players were operating under fundamentally different constraints. Saying Magic Johnson didn't have a left hand is absurd. He couldn't use moves that would have been called violations. Jerry West didn't have no handles. His handles had to stay on top of the ball. Isaiah Thomas wasn't slow. He was being hand-checked by John Stockton. The players were always skilled. The question is, what would they look like if you remove the handcuffs? As Isaiah said, the rules now favor me. Imagine what the 80s superstars would do with a gather step, no hand checking, and the freedom of initiate contact at the rim. This isn't about which era is better, it is about understanding the context. When you watch basketball history, you're not just watching different players, you're watching different games. And massive credit to those Twitter videos and the users who compiled these video clips that got me started on this research. Links to all their original posts are in the description too. Until next time, respect the game, respect the context, and remember those unskilled players were just playing a different sport. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe for more evidence-based basketball history, and drop a comment with which old school player would dominate today. And if you want to support the channel and help me keep going my research heavy videos like this instead of hot takes, check out the membership link below. This is just support, no extra perks, but it genuinely helps.